Okay, welcome to that crazy Blitz game. This is a game that was so crazy that the guy created a new account, played me, and got beaten so badly he closed his account immediately following the game. Because I guess he thought he was winning, and the computer didn't quite agree with him. I don't know exactly. But we'll let the computer tell you. It had some bizarre things that it came up with, but you know, this was game in 3 minutes, and you can see the time on there using this analysis mode. It shows you the time remaining for each player. So the thing is, I was playing this primarily using my spidey senses. And I felt good the whole time. And there's like one really bad mistake, but the time is super low. So it's one of those things. But you know, this is just basic stuff. Caro-Kann defense. Black was able to get the light squared bishop on the outside, you know, on g4 of the white pawns, which are f7, e6, and d5. So pretty standard basic stuff, really. Computer says, you know, queen b6 I guess was better with check. d4 was obviously coming, so that's why I didn't play bishop c5 check. Would have been no point in doing that. And I didn't want to play knight f6 too soon. Wasn't sure if knight e6 or knight f6 or knight e7 would be better. Yeah, the computer didn't care for bishop h5, but I thought bishop h5 is going to be better and use that bishop to contest that white square bishop if it goes to d3, or if he tries this f5 push, which kind of speaks for itself. You know, knight e5 is a solid move. Not really do anything spectacular, but I didn't think about playing queen to h4. I mean, it really doesn't amount to a hill of beans, probably. So I figured I would just fortify against f5. Took him long enough to finally play that move. I mean, it was going to happen sooner or later. So I mean, if you just watch the bar on the left, you'll see it goes, you know, for black's favor slightly for most of the game, which, I mean, what he was doing looked kind of dangerous, and so I was working on just trying to anticipate whatever danger he was planning. And it seemed to overall go pretty well. Oh yeah, g5. I don't know. I was not threatened by g5, really. I didn't think it was a big deal. See, I didn't think bishop takes e5 is good. I don't know. I was hoping to use that bishop. So maybe that is the right move with bishop takes, and then he plays f takes e5. You know, and maybe he would try to plant a knight on f4. It's a complicated game, you know, at a 3-minute time limit, you know, whatever. So I'm just trying to hold back what looks to be a potential, you know, h5, or a potential sacrifice on my king side. King to g2 is no good. Again, it keeps thinking that bishop takes knight is the move. I was really more concerned about his white squared bishop assisting with this kingside pawn push. I figured if I can get rid of that white squared bishop, I'm in good shape. So this is one of those things that can't argue with the computer's tactical wizardry. But I'm really not facing any problems. Oh yeah, it said what knight takes is the best. That's really bizarre. Knight takes, and then he plays d pawn takes. You can see that there. Pretty small. Then bishop to b4. I don't know how this is some win. Okay, that one's a mystery to me. And bishop to g4. I don't know. I don't know how you can call that as a missed win. Playing bishop takes e2. I just wanted to get rid of that jerk. Because my main thing is that I just want to avoid some vicious attack. My general idea was to play like bishop c7 and knight a5, knight c4 as a possibility. Something better than nothing. Okay, now that's why he's trying to do this kingside attack with these g5 and h5 pawns, but the problem is, as long as nothing is on f7, the g6 push doesn't do anything. I would just bypass it. Or if he goes h6, I just bypass it. And if he, wants to sack knight takes here, I have two guys, the queen and the knight, to stop that. So I'm really anticipating a sacrifice or on my king side on every move. I don't want to do h6, g takes h6, g takes h6 and open this up. My feeling is that I'm relatively safe here. And this is, I think, the last time, or one of the last times, that his bar is above even. So he was like about 0.6 or something, 0.4. He's 0.39. That's 0.4 to me. So, rook a g1, nothing spectacular. There's the knight a5 idea. It's a good thing to look and see that the computer thinks that was the best idea, and that's what I told you I was thinking of. So that's really helpful. Okay, b3 is fine. That's a great move, actually. But we forced a weakness. That's really all we were looking to do. Since as soon as he plays b3, I know that c4 is out of the question. That knight needs to get off of a5 to free up the bishop to do whatever. We forced a weakness. Something. It's something. That's better than nothing. Although I was thinking knight b7. When I played knight c6, I did so fast. I'm like, God, knight b7 would have been better. Because then I could have gone knight d6 and then knight e4. Oops. Okay. So, king f2 is an inaccuracy. I mean, it gets out of the way, right? This is some weird stuff. I find, no player is going to want to play knight d3. You've got this knight on this potentially killer square that if black makes a mistake, this knight is prepared to pounce on it like a cat. So knight to d3, I don't know, man. That's a computer's move. That's not a human move. Okay, yeah, you didn't care for that. I don't care what you care for or not. No problems, no problems. I'm tired of that knight lording over my position on e5. F takes e5. Earlier, the computer, one of the lines was taking, and then F takes e5 was the recommended recapture, but somehow it sees that or says that's not good. And I didn't play. There's a pawn sacrifice that comes up. That I think that's it right there. F4 is a pawn sacrifice that gives my knight the f5 square, which is a killer idea that I never even considered playing f4 in a 3-minute game. So, hey, you play some good moves, you play some moves that aren't as good. It's not that knight c6 isn't like a terrible move, it's just that f4 is a better move. If we play f4, and it forces him, something goes wrong, but you have to calculate like a freak if he takes it. If he takes it, you have to do some calculations of what you could, I don't even know what it would be. So, when he's got two rooks on these pawns and this higher, whole idea of this king side attack, I don't want to go over there and kick the hornet's nest, what I'm saying, with f4. Not in a 3-minute game. In a longer game, I would have seen and considered it and maybe also not done it, but I would at least would have seen f4. So, whatever. Rook to c7, doesn't like it. Again, knight to b4 is better, I guess. I play that eventually, but I'm still working on this defensive what have you. Making sure that nothing weird happens. This guy's got everything basically trained over here in some way. Queen to f3 is a mistake. Probably because he considers g6 better, but I'm just going to play h6. I mean, it's okay for him, but it's not. I don't know, it just didn't like it. Sometimes it's just weird that way. I was shocked and pleasantly surprised to see that it considered my bishop c3 was the best move. Because I thought it was very good. Because I'm trying to work over the d4 square. So he goes back, and I'm like, well, look, d4 is a weakness for this guy, okay? So my idea was I want to keep as much. Now again, this move isn't actually terrible. It's just that f4 is killing. It's a killer move. f4 is terrific, and I didn't play this terrific move. This move stays in line with my idea of pressuring d4. This pressures it even better. Oh well. Bishop captures f4, you could see that. Followed by knight takes d4. Crunch. That's a crunch move right there. So, I literally, again, I never even looked at playing f4. I'm trying not to kick the hornet's nest when I'm down 20 seconds plus. So I was like, let me play bishop to b2 relatively quickly to stay within my strategy of working on d4. So it's one of those things that you don't have infinite time. Otherwise, again, f4 would have been considered, and when I start doing the math, it's not good for white. f4 is an obvious winning move as soon as you see it. But hey, I didn't see it. So that is a dealio. g6, so that's a mistake. Well, I don't know, and again, that's necessarily a mistake. He was thinking probably of landing a bishop takes h6. Again, f4 is what it wants me to do, which is, I'm not considering that move. I don't want him to be playing g takes h7 check, king to h8 or king takes. I don't want any of this. I'm just going to close this off, and that's why I have this rook here. So if he ever plays bishop here, I take it, and I've got this lateral defense by the rook. That was one of the ideas of rook to c7, as I was anticipating a potential sacrifice of my pawn structure by one of his minor pieces. I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night. Or even the night before that. Rook h4, not too hot. Let's see. I played, shockingly, the best move. I mean, these moves, some of these moves that I played are the best moves. They're moves that seem to be, strategically in line with what I was trying to do. I've been working defensively in general with a little bit of offense on d4. So again, queen e7 when I'm looking at this, that's awesome that the computer thought that was the best possible move. That's always a nice one. I mean, I'm working on my spidey senses, okay? This seemed like this is like it's doing everything that I need for it to do. So I was very happy. Rook GH1. He's like a piece down by, -3 point whatever. It's saying that's effectively a piece down. So yeah, knight b4 is coming. But I'm really trying to hammer this guy. Now really a4 is trash. The time for him to try and bother my queen side is long since gone. So I was like, hey, I'm just going to take your pawn. I'll eliminate this, what do you call it? Complications. I'm eliminating the complications that a4 could do if he goes a takes b5, whatever. So knight b4 is coming, or knight, even takes d4 potentially. So this bar is substantially in black's favor and has been for quite some time. So there it is, knight b4, the best possible move. Another nice surprise. I'm on c2 like white on rice. Don't I just take this? I sure do. I guess I could have taken knight takes c2. I didn't think of it. I thought rook takes was the obvious good move, because I have the obvious rook to c3 upcoming, which, I could have played rook 2 to c3, which threatens to do rook takes bishop. Also, I'm threatening to play knight to c2, just really working that bishop over. And, he's completely lost his... And I got queen g5 check as well. This guy is in major league trouble. This has just been almost an entire game where I was playing with my dad's idea of trying to stop whatever this guy was coming up with. So I thought, what is he doing? What is he doing? And I'm like anticipating that the whole time. I haven't really been able to do things. Finally, we got to the point where I'm starting to free my pieces up. Yeah, rook to c4 is not good, but time is low. I don't know what I was thinking about that. I was thinking about d4 again. Knight c2, I've got a triple attack on d4, and I'm like, moron. Yes, rook to c3, rook 2, c3, like I mentioned. That's the move to work, because I've got king and queen on this same, rank. I'm like, oh, yes, clearly rook 2, c3 is the best move, because I just mentioned it to you. I hadn't looked at this yet. So, my mistake there. It didn't really make a lot of difference, but okay. But I'm keeping in, my strategic plan went way back to working on d4. And this is a classic example of a mediocre strategic plan, or a good strategic plan is better than no strategic plan, but it's not as good as, sometimes playing the best move. But in a short time limit game, you don't have the luxury of looking for 2 or 4 minutes looking at f4 or looking at the ramifications of rook 2 c3, although, whatever. We're going through it here, and I see it in a couple of seconds. In the game, I saw it never. So, hey, whatever happens, happens. You just do the best you can, and try not to second guess yourself, which is what I was doing. The whole idea of rook 2 c4 and knight c2 is to not second guess my plan of d4, because he only has one defender. Now I have 3 attackers, and I can play queen a7 if I really wanted to get a 4th one. This is desperation on his part, but it's a solid move in the context of it creates chaos and danger. Pawn captures, I think, you know, queen. I was thinking he's going to queen takes, and if I go in the corner, then now I'm vulnerable to back rank threats, what have you. I go, well, you know what? I've got a great idea for this. I just go queen d8, and again, I'm playing this game for the most part, or it has been. I'm playing Spidey senses chess. I'm just avoiding anything crazy, which the computer doesn't care for this move. It's inferior to e takes d5, but it's way safer. So hey, you know, qd8, what are you going to do, brother? You got to make a move. And he, you know, he had 24-second time advantage on me, and it's dwindled, and he is now, you know, at this point now you see he's substantially 9 seconds right now lower on time than I am. So the problem is his position is bad and is hard to play. I have been going with the Spidey senses on, playing moves that give me an easy to play position. Look at the freedom of black's pieces. I've got rook c3, I've got pressure on d4. All of my moves have been much easier to play because of my strategic planning. I wasn't playing a highly tactical game. He was. And it's cost him because his plans have failed, and they're also been taking more and more time per move. So it's really annoying for him. Now, you know, I had to take that knight. I mean, that was like a no-brainer. But he's got nothing. Ooh, bishop takes h6. What do you want, a medal? You know, good luck with that move. Rook takes d4 is wrong because rook to c3 looks stronger, but it says, yeah, it's like, and I play a move that's inferior upcoming. He plays the right move, I play the wrong move, but he doesn't see that it's wrong. And neither did I, to be honest with you. I should have taken with the bishop, because I saw, I was, you know, going to the very end, and I looked at this briefly. The computer has a killer move right here, queen b7. And it's not winning or anything, but it's good. You know, it makes it an evenish game. Plus 0.1 is what it would say there, I think. So it's an evenish game, but his time is low, and it's still low. So he made him, you know, that's the only really bad mistake I made was knight takes d4. All the other moves that the computer didn't like were still good moves. There was just something better. This one is a better, bishop takes d4 is a better move, because knight takes d4 has a flaw that gets queen at b7 because he's attacking my bishop, that freak. So literally that is the only bad move that I played. But I made up for it with rook c3, since he, you know, entered in the horrible time pressure. He did not play the best move. Gee, what a shocker. So, you know, and I do those, you know, puzzle rushes. I'm looking at this going, man, this is a no-brainer right here. I hit this move pretty fast. 2 seconds. Boom. Knight takes e2. I mean, knight to e2 check. Ooh, take me, I dare you. You know, he's dominated. I'm going to eat this rook no matter what he does. Take it, don't take it, I don't care. Because if he takes it, queen takes rook check, queen takes queen, rook takes queen check, and I'm, you know, 8-9 seconds ahead of him on time. I'm going to clean his clock a rook up. He takes it because he had to. It's clock cleaning, baby. So now we're in clock cleaning, and I'm almost 10 seconds ahead of him. His position is horrible. He's got those 2 pawns. If he moves the bishop back, I'll just go king g7. He can't, those pawns at that point are frozen. They can't move. So king g7 would freeze the pawns if he ever moves his bishop. So he's stuck with this position here, They can't, these do nothing. These don't even, they can't move, but if he moves the bishop to f4, king g7, and he can't check me because I play king takes g6. So these pawns are completely worthless. They're just figments of the imagination. They will never queen. This killer rook, this killer bishop of bishop takes e5 is coming. It's nasty, man. So he defends it. Bishop f4 is the better defense, obviously. When he did that, I'm like, dude, I got you. How long did it take to play that? 0.9 seconds. This one is, 2 seconds or less. Checkmate. I'm like, I'm taking your bishop. Oh, it was checkmate? Even better. Yeah, okay. So, that was a really, really wild game that I played. But it was really funny because, like I said, immediately after the game, I wanted to go see, what kind of, his thing was 2000 is what it said, okay? And I'm playing him. And then I go here, closed. It's like, dude, he got butchered. He got butchered. Played me one game, lost, and closed his account. So, but speaks for itself, I guess, because from his perspective, this game looked like White was really dictating some stuff, which he sort of was, but I was on top of the business and aware of what was going on. So that was all good. But I just thought you guys might like to see it. It was a pretty interesting game because of the way it was played. You got to be aware of what's happening potentially, the threats of the sacrifices. As he pushed those pawns, he shoved those H and G pawns right there in front of my face. Sacked the knight, but I had been expecting a knight sacrifice for maybe 20 moves. So pretty good game. I did make one mistake, but it was a time pressure error. Grandmasters do the same thing, so it's not like I'm feeling bad or anything like that. And game in 3 minutes, man, things happen. So hope you guys enjoyed this game. Pretty wicked. It was just funny that he closed his account instantly after he lost the game. That part was hilarious. I've never seen it before. Hope you enjoyed it. I sure did. You guys know what to do. I'll talk to you later.